Now I presented a very broad outline of main cognitive domains which could be described in the neuropsychologist's report. But the question is, if we don't have neuropsychologists, for example, or if we have neuropsychologists but he or she cannot explain everything for us, how can we use cognitive screening, how we can test everything in one session, because there is so many different cognitive functions. The question is quite difficult, but many researchers try to answer that. And here you can see two examples. First is Luria, is a Russian neuropsychologist who developed very intense and very detailed cognitive battery for patients. And second is Nebraska, a state in the America where they tried to adopt Luria's battery to the quantitative approach. So from the Russian neuropsychological school, Alexander Luria, developed an approach of dynamic localization system of the brain. According to his definition, higher mental functions may exist only as a result of interaction between highly different brain structures, and that each of the structures makes its own specific contribution to the dynamic whole and plays its own role on the functional system. So, for example, if I have brain, let me draw a brain, like here we are. It's like very primitive picture of the brain, and here we have a frontal system. Frontal system is our chief executive, which can control everything going on. But also we have parietal lobe, which controls spatial analysis processes. So, for example, in case of language, it's called paraspatial functions, detecting which order of words we should use in a sentence. And our frontal part is controlling this sequence, and if we're using the right words for that, also we involve our temporal zone, which is responsible for language functions and detection of speech sounds. So when we're talking, we're actually using lots of different brain structures, and they should be able to interact and to serve to the main function of the speech. Here are some examples of Lurian battery. So in this picture you are required to name all the objects which are presented on the screen. So for example, try to name it. It's a fork, it's a kettle, it's a bottle, it's a glass, it's a plate, etc. etc. So here we test visual perception and also naming function of the patient. Here we also see some objects which are presented, but these images are also distracted by these lines. So here we're trying to detect if the patient could really recognize this image and could name it. In other stories with the non-finished pictures, so our patient should be able to recognize it. For example, what is that? Could you please understand that? It might be difficult, but if you turn your head and you can mentally along the line, and now you could probably see that it's a light bulb. So the same is here. It might be difficult to recognize, but if you can do that, you can see that is a picture of glasses, etc. etc. Of course, this set of pictures should be culturally adopted and validated, because what is appropriate for one culture could be absolutely unknown for another culture or language. And also take a look on this picture on the right. So here we can see some kind of narrative, and we ask our patient to describe what is going on in the picture. So for example, can I please ask Fanchi to describe what do you see on this picture? Okay, so my student Fanchi is going to take a look and to serve as my participant. Could you please describe what is going on this picture?
Okay, there is a guy behind the tree and who is picking, and there are two persons who stand in front of the tree, and the person at the back of the person who is holding the suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
And the person in the back asked the person in the front to look at the window that is broken. And the person who is in the house is looking outside from the window at the person who is holding the suitcase.
Yeah. So how do you think, who has broken this window?
Maybe the person behind the tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, oh yeah, I forgot and I missed that. He's holding a snowball.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably from the northern part of China, so you know how the snow looks like. But maybe for Hong Kong, this test wouldn't be appropriate because here people never seen the snow, so they don't know that it's possible to break the window using the snowball, right?
I'm from the central parts.
Okay, anyway, so here you can see that this picture is testing the ability of patient to produce a narrative based on what is depicted on that, and how important it is the context and the cultural adaptability of each stimuli we are presenting. Okay.